गजाननं भूतगणादिसेवितं कपित्तजम्बूफलसार भक्षितम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारणं नमामि विघ्नेश्वर पादपङ्कजम्।
An upright industrialist, a passionate educationist, a caring humanist, a spirited public activist, and a humble spiritualist. Shri Manikam Ramaswami was a multifaceted personality. Ramu, as he was fondly known to his countless friends and admirers, touched innumerable lives and made lasting contributions to the many institutions he was associated with. He was the scion of the well-known industrialist family of the late Karumuthu Tyagarajan Chettiar, the doyen of South Indian textile industry. A graduate in mechanical engineering from IIT Madras, Shri Ramaswamy was awarded the Gold Medal for outstanding scholastic performance. As an industrialist, he was most modern in his outlook and constantly strived to be in the forefront of technology at Loyal Textiles Mills, which he headed. The philanthropic educational institutions he was actively involved, such as Tyagaraja Model Higher Secondary School, Tyagaraja College of Preceptors, and Tyagaraja School of Management, all emphasize on holistic development of students and affordability. A powerful writer and frequent contributor to financial dailies, Shri Ramaswamy spoke unhesitatingly on trade, economic, and public policies from the perspective of a concerned and responsible citizen rather than of a businessman. He passionately advocated and practiced sustainability. He painstakingly created verdant green and barren locales, installed energy and water-saving facilities, and invested in renewable energy and recycling infrastructure in the industrial units and institutions under his care. In addition to being a committed environmentalist, he was an avid agriculturalist. He personally designed and installed special goshalas in all his mills, creating the most humane and comfortable environment for cows and supplying his employees with fresh organic milk. He was keenly involved in organic farming of paddy and vegetables and in promoting the interests of cotton farmers. He played an active role in industry bodies such as CII, SIMA, and Textile Export Promotion Council, chambers of commerce in various capacities, and addressed large audiences and policy issues. He worked tirelessly for resolving the Tamil Nadu industrial power crisis of 2008-2012 and played a pivotal role in bringing about favorable export and renewable energy policies that benefited the Indian textile industry. He also successfully campaigned for restructuring excise duty on cotton yarn and the removal of the exemption given to certain segments so as to create a level playing field. He championed assiduously for the welfare of handloom weavers to see that several measures were passed to support their livelihood and help them increase their earnings. He was also active on the international stage and served as honorary consul to the Republic of Maldives, where he helped with post-tsunami relief, and to Federal Republic Ethiopia, where he worked tirelessly to help develop the then-fledged textile industry. In short, Shri Ramaswamy was a rare example of the trusteeship that Mahatma Gandhi envisioned and championed.
I invite Shri B.T. Bangera, Chairman, Board of Governors, TRS School of Management, Managing Director, High-Tech Rai Limited, to deliver the welcome address.
Good afternoon, one and all. This is the 5th year we are organizing the Manikam Ramaswami Memorial Lecture. Every year it is conducted around 20th of November, being his birthday. Manikam Ramaswamy was an upright industrialist, passionate educationist, a caring humanist, and humble spiritualist. As usual this year, also we could get hold of a distinguished eminent speaker, Dr. SridharVembu, whom you all must be knowing. He is the CEO and co-founder of Zoho Corporation, which he founded in the year 1996. Within a span of 2 decades, it has grown into $1 trillion company operating the globe. In spite of his busy schedule, he agreed to spare, I think, 1 hour online during his business trip from Bombay. He is getting connected today for this purpose for 1 hour. I am extremely happy to extend a warm welcome to our distinguished guest, Dr. SridharVembu. Today, we also have another eminent person amongst us, Mr. N.K. Ranganath, a man with a very distinguished career, currently an independent director of L&T Valves Limited. He was a long-time associate or close friend of Manikam Ramaswamy, depicting all the passionate and spiritual qualities of Manikam Ramaswamy. They have been close to each other for a long time, working together in various associations, including CII and many other associations. We are looking forward to his reminiscences, and which he is carrying in his mind. I am delighted to extend a warm welcome to Mr. Ranganathan and looking forward to his address. Let me also extend a warm welcome to Ramu's family, his wife, Mrs. Valli Ramaswamy, his daughter, Miss Vishalaram, and all other close relatives. Let me extend a warm welcome to Dr. Murli Sambashivam, Director, TSM, and all the other professors, teaching staff, and employees of TSM. I also extend a warm welcome to Shri Velangiri, CEO of Loyal Textiles, and also the directors, executives, and staff and customs of Loyal Textiles, which was Ramu's flagship venture. Let me extend a warm welcome to all the participants who have connected online from various distant places. Finally, I would like to announce a happy news that in line with the passionate attachment of Manikam Ramaswamy in the field of education, this year we started a new college in the name of Ramaswamy. The new name of the college is Manikam Ramaswamy College of Arts and Science in Madurai, affiliated to MKU. In a small way, it has started this year itself, in this academic year, and by next academic year, it will be running to its full capacity. With this, I once again welcome all of you. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I invite Mr. Satish Raman to introduce Shri N.K. Ranganath, Independent Director, L&T Valves Limited.
Thank you, Dr. Balaji. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. N.K. Ranganath. He is a mechanical engineer from the College of Engineering, Chennai, and he's also done his management education from XLRI, Jamshedpur. Mr. Ranganath has been working for the last 40 years in various areas like marketing, sales, design, project management, finance, HR, business, and general management strategy. He's very highly experienced in the manufacture of boilers, burners, incinerators, pollution control, and energy recovery equipment. He has also been involved in setting up of small captive power plants and high tension transmission lines in the Middle East. For the last 22 years, till last year, he was a CEO and the managing director of Grundfos Pumps, India, and has been instrumental in setting up the company and its production facility. apart from working to build and enhance the brand equity of the company. He's also worked in more than 30 countries and has traveled to more than 50 countries. He's currently on the board of, apart from L&T Walls, he's also on the board of companies like Indian Terrain Fashions Limited, Celebrity Fashions Limited, and the Cognizant Foundation as the independent director. He is also on the advisory board of a couple of non-governmental organizations in the field of education and mental health areas. He is a past president of MMA, which is a Madras Management Association. He is also the past chairman of the CII Tamil Nadu State Council, Confederation of Indian Industry. And he is also involved, he's been part of the National Committee on water with CII at the national level. He's also been involved in other areas like CSR, energy efficiency, education and skill development. He recently, Ms. Ranganath, has been invited by the government of Tamil Nadu onto a committee to increase and enhance employment opportunities for the differently abled people in the private sector. With these few words of introduction, I hand it over to Mr. Ranganath. Thank you.
Thank you, Satish. You can hear me, I presume.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you, the management of the Tyagaraja School of Management, the family of Ramu, and SridharVembu is here. A very good afternoon. And I also extend a warm welcome to all of you. And my thanks to all of you for having invited me here to say a few words about Shri Manikam Ramaswami or Ramu, as we all knew him. My association with Ramu was perhaps not as long as some of the others, perhaps around 10, 15 years. But it was a very meaningful and fulfilling one as we gelled well in our values, thoughts, and approach to issues. We were like two pods in a pea, because we really had the same approach to many things. Sometimes a little brash, sometimes a little soft, but we sort of got along very well. Everyone who knows Ramu knows how passionate he was in the areas that interested him and the zeal with which he pursued them. Without compromising the values he stood for. And that's the key point to understand. There were no compromising values. Both of us, like him, I was a mechanical engineer. I was also, I would say, a little pig-headed in terms of not compromising on values. And this is something that we got along very, very well from the time we first met. Ramu not only ran his industries with passion, but he really cared about the people who worked in them. He was also a very spiritual person with a strong sense of right and wrong. In fact, the first time I walked into his house, when he invited me for a dinner along with others, I thought I was walking into a temple. And he was really, really sort of spiritual in every which sense of the word. Most of all, he was honest in his approach and never shied away from expressing his opinion on matters he felt were dear to him or were unfair to the others. Both of us would spend quite a bit of time every time we met on the sidelines of meetings held by CII or other institutions. The normal thing is, after lunch, he would take a quick nap, and then we would discuss various subjects. It would be a wide variety of subjects. It would be business, it would be education, ethics mostly, politics, philanthropy, and last but not least, sustainable practices and climate change. Both of us were so interested. And he had a lot of ideas, and he would pick my brain too every time he gets an idea. One reason, perhaps why we got along very well, was the common interest that we had in running businesses ethically, focused on sustainable practices. And this outlook perhaps brought us together more than anything else. And also we had one more thing, the idea of treating employees well in the organizations that we managed. Not having too much more power distance, but making sure that everybody is a part of the organization that we build, and they feel that they are owners of that organization, even they may not have stake in what they're doing. The other common point, which is a little funny, is that we both spoke honestly what was on our minds and never fell short of challenging ourselves or the others. If we found something was not right, we would challenge it straight away. He was a true believer in the concept that cannot be progress if there is no constructive criticism or dissent. And both of us believe that dissent is a stepping stone. I'm not talking of disagreeability, but agreeable dissent is a stepping stone for success and for progress. Because if we have a bunch of yes men around us, I don't think we can move forward that much. And I remember many instances where we were co-panelists in meetings in which the only honest appreciation or dissent came from Ramu or me or both of us. At times, this angered people who did not want to face the truth, but that did not bother us. We said that we need to be clear about what we feel and communicate it in the right way, not in the wrong way. In fact, we used to make fun of organizations like even CII, which Satish was a part of, that if they wanted to convey to the public or the bureaucracy or the government something that was the bitter truth, and the other business people were not comfortable telling them, call Ramu or Ranga, or both, depending on how strong a voice was necessary. So this was the kind of situations that we often found ourselves in. The various discussions Ramu and I had, he told me a lot about his grandfather and how far ahead of times he was when he started the textile mills and in the way he treated his employees and the HR practices he instituted. Ramu had not only taken inspiration from his grandfather's best practices, but he improved upon them, not just in his humane approach, but also this fanatic focus on technology. And he wanted every kind of improvement to be made, not just for technology's sake, but to improve the kind of work situation for his employees and to make sure that they were more productive and his company was more productive. So both being mechanical engineers, it was nice discussions that we used to have post lunch like normally. And many occasions he would call me to discuss technology for reducing energy and water consumption, which was my area basically, and which is what I had followed. And he did that all the time with every organization of his. He was ready to try anything new and would personally follow up on that. Many a time I would say, Ramu, can we put our people together? He said, no, Ranga, you and I talk. We have to push this at the top. So this was something which was very, very unique about him. And he was be there at every point of time if something new is coming up. He had called me once to speak to the students of TSM. And I fondly remember staying at the guest house there. And after a wonderful meet I had with him, and at the quick nap that he took, we started discussing. And the highlight of this stay was the discussion we had. And the topic still is very clear in my mind. And the issue was that we were discussing was how EQ, the emotional quotient of people, and bring in a sense of ownership and responsibility in professional managers. I come from a family business, became a professional manager, and then have seen both sides. And this was an interesting situation of what the differences are between professional managers working professional in an organization and not owners, and owners who are working in their own organizations. I'm not going to discuss what we discussed because that's a long talk. But I remember one question that he asked and the discussion we had. Can one be an entrepreneur when working as a professional in an organization when one has no stakes? I'm sure SridharVembu can speak about it. I've read a lot about his company where he's created this kind of a situation in the most rural parts of Tamil Nadu. How do we ensure we have professionals who behave like entrepreneurs when required? Not all the time it is required that they be entrepreneurs, but when required, how do we ensure that they behave like entrepreneurs? This is one of the things that we discussed that afternoon. And it's clear in my mind even today. Ramu was deeply spiritual too. Like I said, the first time I went to his house, I thought I was entering a temple. And it would always be very, very focused on that part of it. It is unfortunate that we lost him prematurely in 2017. And it also seems very unfair that it happened in the fashion that it did. But his memory and good work lives on, and he has left behind wonderful institutions that will carry on his legacy, helped by the management of the institution and both by Valli and Bashala, I'm sure. Ramu used to head a subcommittee, as was said, on skilling and employment creation in the CII, of which I was a member along with him. So it fell upon me to head this committee for a couple of years after he passed away. And it was big shoes to fill. But then I tried my best, whatever we could do. I don't claim that we have done great. Even today, we are still trying to struggle to increase employment and ensure that people are skilled enough. But it's a moving goalpost, and I fondly remember Ramu talking about it, saying that look, as much as we do, it'll still not be enough to get to the stage that we have to be, because technology is moving at a very fast pace. Expectations are moving at a very fast pace, and we need to keep up with this. So I could go on talking a lot, but before we sort of hand over to Sridhar because he's the person who we have to listen to today. And before I pass this virtual stage on to the speaker of the day, let me wish all of you the very best and look forward to hearing the Shri Manikam Ramaswami Memorial Lecture in the years to come. Thanks a lot. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I invite Dr. Murli Sambasivan, Director, Tyagaraja School of Management, to introduce Shri SridharVembu, CEO and co-founder, Zoho Corporation. Unmute, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. At the outset, let me welcome you all to Shri Manikam Ramaswami Memorial Lecture. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Shri SridharVembu. Shri SridharVembu, commonly known as Vembu, is the Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of Zoho Corporation Private Limited. Vembu was born in 1968 in a middle-class Tamil family from a village in Tanjavur district, Tamil Nadu. He graduated with a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras in 1989 and earned his MS and PhD degrees from Princeton University in New Jersey. Vembu has launched his professional career working for Qualcomm as a wireless engineer in San Diego, California, before moving to the San Francisco Bay Area. He has lived in San Jose and St. John. Vembu co-founded Zoho Corporation in 1996 and has been its CEO since 2000. The company has emerged as the largest software product company in India while pursuing a unique set of choices which span hiring, training, product strategy, location, and customer satisfaction, all driven by a holistic philosophy that puts contentment and humility as key virtues. As of 2020, he held an 88% stake in the company. Forbes estimated his net worth to be $2.44 billion US. SridharVembu is noted for taking software and product development functions from urban centers into rural villages in India. Specifically, his company Zoho established its offices in rural Matalampara Tenkasi district, Tamil Nadu, and in suburban Renugunta, Andhra Pradesh. In 2004, he set up Zoho Schools to provide vocational software development education to rural students as an alternative to formal university education. According to a statement from the company, 15 to 20% of its engineers have no college degree but have received vocational education from Zoho Schools. In 2020, he announced a rural school startup focused on free primary education. Vembu was awarded the 2019 Winston Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award in India. He was the recipient of Padma Shri, India's fourth highest civilian honor in 2021. He was also appointed to the National Security Advisory Board of India in 2021. Please join me in welcoming Shri SridharVembu. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Manakam, Namaskaram.
Welcome.
I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir. Loud and clear, sir.
This is a privilege to deliver this Shri Manikam Ramaswami Memorial Lecture. First, my humble pranams to him, and I wish I had known him. Actually, he is from IIT Madras. He's a recipient of President's Gold Medal, which is, of course, the highest award that any student can earn. And I also actually about a year ago, sometime I had heard about his passing, and it was really tragic in the way it happened. And the man that you spoke about, so much of the things I read about, the values, are very similar to what I have come to believe. So I really deeply wish that I had known him in my own life. And I also apologize, I had to come for another event in Mumbai. And so I'm actually speaking from a hotel in Mumbai right now. Otherwise, I would have been there in Madurai today. It's pretty close to Tenkasi for me. So with that, Mr. Ranganath mentioned a point about his spirituality and his technology passion and his social commitment and sustainability. Every one of those topics is near and dear to me. And so I actually don't know where to begin on this, because each of these topics I could talk about for an hour or so. But I'll try to provide a integrated picture of how those things influenced my own outlook on life, how I view business landscape, how I view economics, another passion of his, and society, and how I view all of them holistically. And that's what I hope to do in the next about half an hour or so. First, I'll start with why I came back to a village in India. That is, maybe I'll start there. Why I moved to Tenkasi, of all places in the world. And I was also, actually, I was not born there. I was born in Tanjavur district in Mayalpuram, a village called Mayalpuram. That is my mother's village. And my father is from another village there, which is on the, my mother is on the Kaveri, this thing Kaveri Karai, and my father is from Kollada Karai. So, and that a village called Urugucheri, that's where my father's roots are from. We now actually have an office there in Urugucheri as well, and which we are expanding. And those villages actually, Mayalpuram, Urugucheri, all of that had a very strong influence on my childhood. Even though I grew up in Chennai, I went to school there. A lot of my free time, holidays, everything I spent in the village. I just wanted to stay there. If I go back to my 10-year-old self or 12-year-old, the only thing I ask my parents is, please put me in the school here. I'm studying the same Tamil medium as in the city. Why don't I just stay here in Yerika? That was my request all the time. And of course, my mother never granted the request. I always blame her. I joke with her that now I have my revenge. I moved back to a village. I tell her. But that was the outlook on life I had. Even as a kid, as a young boy, this is what I wanted. So now I'm able to do it. So primarily, that's why I did it. I actually wanted to move back to a village from childhood, and I finally got an opportunity to move back. And Tenkasi office, this was started in 2012 as an experiment in, can we bring technology jobs to rural areas? Why so? And this is, goes back to why, as a boy, I used to analyze, why did we have to leave the village? Why did both of my parents have to leave their respective villages and go to Chennai to make a living? What is a living anyway? What is economics? All of those questions would be swirling in my head as a 10, 12-year-old. And so it was clear that they had migrated, my father had migrated for a job. And I understood that. Then why isn't there a job? Why isn't there an income in the village? That was the question. And at that time, I didn't have answers. And even I went to IIT Madras, and then I went to Princeton. At that time, I was thinking that these questions were parallel in my head. I didn't think that I would get back to these questions were related, the technology part of it, and these questions in the back of my mind. Why did we have to move out? Why did we have to migrate? And then I observed what I observed in the US, in Princeton, around all of that. Slowly, I came to the conclusion that our problem, we have to have entrepreneurship. We have to have businesses formed. This only dawned on me a little bit late. I have to say that I was, until the age of 25, I had no interest in business. If anybody had told me, even when I turned 25, that I would end up being a businessman, I would not have believed it myself. That's the last thing I thought I would do. You don't do a PhD in a highly mathematical discipline thinking that you're going to become a businessman. But then this thought about why, what is the path towards our prosperity as a nation, all of that convinced me that we have to be in business and technology business. And we have to create capabilities. And again, Shri Manikam Ramaswami is in the capability skill development in CIA. And this was something that was a consuming passion for me, even as of 94, 95, thinking about how do we create all these skills. This also had an added measure of urgency for me. I saw all the talent that was coming to the US, and I saw that correspondingly, the places where we came from, whether it's Tanjavur or Tirunelveli or wherever, those places still stayed poor. That we are exporting, we are taking our talent and exporting it, but the native regions are not benefiting from it. That was clear even then. So that's why I wanted to start a technology company in India, along with my siblings. My siblings Kumar and Shekhar, both with an IIT background, they came back from the US when, both of them just stayed 1 year or 6 months, and that is how we ended up starting the company. And because this was a thought from the beginning. And initially, we had it in Chennai, in fact, suburbs in Tambaram, and those at that time, even the infrastructure for even in Chennai was limited. I mean, you didn't have connectivity, dial-up lines were poor, all of that. And that is how it got started. But this question was still consuming me all the time, that how do we take these to rural areas? How do I go back to a village? So it's more a personal question for me too, that Chennai is good, but I don't want to come back to India and move to Chennai. I want to come back to India and move to my village. And that was the thought. And this was even back in 2000, 2002, this thought was there in the back of my mind. How do we do this? How do we take this there? That is how the Zoho Schools of Learning was started. The whole training program was also on the observation that we observed that degrees don't make a huge difference in how somebody perform. Then we said, in any way, a lot of our rural students are not getting degrees. A lot of our students, even in urban areas. So maybe we can find talent there and train ourselves. And that actually was critical, because later on it would help us create and nurture talent in rural areas. This experiment we started in 2003-04, and now it has become quite big. Now 300, 400 students are going through our program every year now. And that became pivotal later when we started our rural initiative. And why Tenkasi? That was an interesting accident. I said rural area, and I defined it as the out edges around town, maybe with a population about 1 lakh. That's how I defined it. And why did I define 1 lakh? It was in 2007 or so, 6 or 7, I came across a book which made the argument. It's called Breakdown of Nations. You can look it up. It's not in print anymore. It was a very obscure book. It was published, I believe, in the 50s or 60s. I came across a copy and read it. And this book made the argument that most of human civilization's achievements came from these small towns. And they didn't come from very tiny villages, but they didn't come from big giant cities either. The small towns and the surrounding countryside created enough of that accumulation of talent and cooperation, all of that. That's where the most of the advances, scientific technology, all that came in the 17th, 18th centuries, all of that. Industrialization started in these type of places. And I realized that that thesis was very persuasive. I said, okay, we'll look for about 1 lakh population and surrounding countryside. And that is how, and the Western Ghats, the foothills of Western Ghats, we have a lot of those towns, starting with Pollachi, come to Theni, all of that. And Tenkasi is where we found some land. We bought the land and we decided that's where we will set up. You might think that's a very odd way to start a software company's division. Nobody in the company had much background in it. We had some employees who were willing to go back, but that's about it. Nobody else knew anything about Tenkasi other than the people. Once we decided Tenkasi, some people who were from there decided to go back. And that was how we started it. Literally, that was the beginning. This happened in about 2011, about 11 years ago now. And today, it's about 750 employees and going strong now. And that was the beginning. And it is an attempt. Now I'll go a little bit into economic principles that I hold dear. Let's look at a rural area's problem today. What we sell, we sell agricultural commodities today. Right? We sell rice, vegetables, maybe oil, pulses, and all of that. But what we buy is everything, all the manufacturers, from the clothing to household goods to electrical goods, then motorcycles, of course, smartphones, all of that. And we also consume, even in villages now, we consume medical care in the form of scans, the scan technology, all of that we consume in a way. So this, you can immediately see the lack of balance here. And you go back 100 years, 50, 100 years, and I do remember from childhood, the village economy was more diversified than it is today, where you had an ecosystem of weavers, potters, ironsmith, goldsmith, vaidyas, all of that in a vicinity. Within 5-10 kilometers, you will have this ecosystem. You'll have a potter village, a weaver village, ironsmiths, then carpenters, all of that professions will be there within trades. And so if you want something made, you'll get from there. You want your vessel for your home, you'll get it from there. So that is how it was, right? Clothes, weavers. But all those are gone now. In an industrialization drive, all those jobs are gone. And now the descendants of those trades people, craftsmen, have become landless labor. But they were never farmers. See, it's a misnomer to think villages only had farmers. Villages had all of this ecosystem, and that ecosystem is gone in the last 40, 50 years. And I remember the last vestiges of that economy, but now it's all gone. And you only have agriculture and a lot of landless labor. So when you buy more than what you sell, buy more valuable things than what you sell, what is the solution? Well, you have to borrow, or you have to send migrant labor, or you have to rely on a government program like Manrega, which is now essential because that's the only way you can balance the trade. So, or you sell your land, the remaining land. The people who still own some land, they keep selling because there's no other way they can make the ends meet. This is the nature of the rural economy today. And the solution is obvious. We want to revive rural areas. We have to enable our rural citizens to participate in the value creation economy of manufacturing, technology, all of it. In other words, we have to diversify our rural economy from agriculture to additional value-added manufacturing. Of course, agriculture is essential. Who will produce our food and who will produce food sustainably, all that. But we also, to create the income, because we consume, rural areas themselves consume manufactured goods, we need rural citizens to participate in that manufacturing and other value-added economy. Now, this concept of value addition is very important, and I explain it this way, particularly students. You look at what I ask our farmers, what do we sell? Rice mostly, and or vegetables, whatever. What do we get? The price we get per kilogram is anywhere from 10 rupees, 20 rupees, maybe 30 rupees if we are very lucky. So sometimes, if you're very unlucky, it could go for 4 or 5 rupees vegetables. But government support price for rice paddy, maybe we'll get 20 rupees. And 30 rupees if you're lucky, some vegetable goes well. So that's the range. So we'll call it 15, 20 rupees as the average per kilogram, right? Then I ask a seemingly dumb question. So what do we pay per kilogram of this phone? That's what I ask. People get taken aback. What is the price per kilogram of a phone? Well, but I say do the calculation. The phone is 250 grams, so there's 4 phones to a kilogram. If my phone maybe costs 20,000 rupees, 25,000 rupees maybe. So then it's 1 lakh per kilogram, right? 4 of those phones in a kilogram. So 1 lakh per kilogram. So I said, how can we balance our economy if we sell things whose value is only 25 rupees, 20 rupees per kilogram versus 1 lakh per kilogram? That is a fundamental. And if you understand that deeply enough, why does a phone get to be 1 lakh per kilogram? It's mostly silicon and a lot of that. That is the value addition, basically. The value added to basic materials through the application of skills, know-how, capabilities, raises the value towards that 1 lakh per kilogram. To put that in perspective, if you buy pure gold, that's only 50 lakhs per kilogram. On the other hand, something like the iPhone could be as much as 5-6 lakhs per kilogram. So iPhone is like 1/10 the price of gold, actually, as weight for weight. And that is how much value addition is there, how much value we attribute to this. So rural economy's problem is fundamentally we are not participating in the value creation, the value addition activities that raise the price of a phone towards that 1 lakh per kilogram kind of a price. That much value is embedded in it. We are stuck only in the 20 rupees per kilogram activity. And for creating any kind of rural prosperity, to prevent that migration of people, to prevent the necessity to migrate to cities, like my father had to do, my parents had to do, to retain that talent pool in a village, we need to create those value addition activity. That is just the inescapable conclusion. And the kind of job software is very much part of this economy. We are in that 1 lakh per kilogram type of value addition. There's the software, we put our apps running in the phone, they add value to the phone. And that is how we are able to create the value. So it is that value addition jobs that need to be created at rural level. How do we do it? And this is where our Zoho schools of learning type of concept comes in, where we are investing in talent identification, talent creation, talent nurturing, all of it, and talent incubation, all of it. And we do this at a rural level. And Zoho schools, if you come to Tenkasi, and I invite all of you to come and see us in Tenkasi in our offices, and you'll see our Zoho schools of learning classrooms where maybe about 50 students this year, all just finished mostly +2. Some of them may have finished a polytechnic 10+3 with a diploma. And instead of 10+2 or 10+3, those are all the students. They will be going through very hands-on skill development, education in programming. Some of them might be in learning communications, design. Even we have a school of business, actually, just like TSM, teaching them concepts of business by doing projects, small projects, analyzing competition, getting a marketing collateral, responding to a customer, those types of things we do. So all the education is learning by doing. And we also say this actually goes to even leadership. I consider leadership primarily as teaching. And the best way to learn is actually to teach a subject. If I want to learn economics, I then teach somebody. So I explain it to someone, then I understand it better myself. So these are the leadership principles we have practiced throughout. And this now applied to this technology, software technology. Now we are applying it to other areas. We are getting into medical instruments and many other areas now. In each of these, the concept is the same. We identify the talent, we nurture the talent, then we identify a project to do. And what we do in terms of identifying projects, we take up relatively the simpler steps in the technology value chain first. Meaning you don't go from 20 rupees to 1 lakh in one shot. You go through stages. What is a simpler value addition? So you become, maybe you don't make the entire phone, you make a part, right? A small part, that type of thing. So even our thing in software started with making small software components or libraries. They used to call them protocols. And then branch out to making an entire software for a tiny market. Why a tiny market? Because that is where you will find opportunities that the big companies may not be interested in. It's not like they've overlooked. The tiny market is not of interest to them. And as an example, even today, so I'm here in a worldwide accountant world Congress of Accountants. Delegates have come from all over the world. Our Zoho Books software, for example, is now we are selling in countries like Kenya or Colombia. We are launching an edition for Colombia. We launched an edition in Mexico, which a lot of bigger companies don't bother to do. They don't bother to do specific editions for those countries. So these are the smaller markets you target first. And that's just an example I'm quoting. We still remember those principles. So we started with relatively small markets with a small team. And then once we are able to do it, we are able to create some revenue and show some profit, then you grow and progressively expand your market reach. That's the principle we have applied consistently, and we are still doing it in other similar sectors, whether it's medical instruments. For example, our medical instrument subsidiary now is not immediately targeting the big equipment, but going with very small ones. First, we did a drip monitor, then we did a syringe pump. Now we are enhancing it to an infusion pump, like that. Those first two are in the market. So this is again the ladder climbing. You develop skills by doing it, doing humble products, then you learn, apply those lessons, build bigger products. This is the part that I believe holds the key to how we can spread prosperity among our rural citizens and create an economically vibrant rural areas. That is very important, because we cannot just romanticize a village life and say everybody should stay in the village. We have to create an economic rationale. Our beloved President Abdul Kalam ji had come up with this concept called Pura, providing urban amenities in rural areas. That is also the idea is the same, that rural citizens deserve the same kind of amenities and the same kind of jobs that urban citizens get. Then rural areas will stay vibrant. Why is that important? That sustainability and even spirituality, all of those goals, and I'll come to that. First of all, the food. By staying in rural areas, I already participate in farming now. We run a farm, and clearly the farm, the goal is to be sustainable agricultural practices, save the soil, save water, save energy, a lot of that. We're still work in progress in all this, but that's the goal. And so you are paying more attention to how food is grown, sustainability there. Second, by living in a rural area, you also are necessarily, you lead a more contented life. You don't have the constant ego traps of a city. What do you mean by ego traps? Well, what does your neighbor want? Do they own a better car than you? All of those thoughts, they don't occur as much. Okay, and so the fewer ego traps, then fewer lavish spending on ego traps. So naturally, you become more contented. And you also spend more time in solitude, and solitude is essential for spirituality. You spend more time with trees and animals, not only human beings, and that's important that's why all our saints and sages sought the forests and the mountains, seeking spirituality. So for even spiritual fulfillment, maintaining the strong rural roots is very important, that I strongly believe. And we need to combine that with making the rural economy viable by creating these technological capabilities and skills in rural areas. So this is the holistic, you can see how all of these tie together. And the education, the school we've started, which is called Kalaimani Kalvi Mayam. The purpose of the school is invest in very young children from the young age to ensure that they can participate in a productive economy by staying in rural areas. In other words, the goal is not just to train them and become vacuum cleaner of talent, as I call it. Because very often, educational institutions in rural areas, all that they have served is become a vacuum cleaner of talent. You suck the talent, you send it off someplace else. So in other words, if the goal is to serve the rural area, they only take up the talented, the ones who are academically bright, and send them off somewhere else. And this does not help the rural area itself. It continues to stay poor, and you can see this in many, many districts. You have a lot of good colleges which export a lot of talent, but the area remains industrially and economically backward, technologically backward. That is a problem that I want to address. In our school, we emphasize, of course, all the skill development, but along with it, I want the jobs to be mixed in. This is where a country like Switzerland, Estonia, all those countries we can learn from, where we can actually give a very strong, the rural areas have linkages from education to skill development, apprenticeship, all of that. Which is why in Tenkasi I've started this, because we have the office, we have some manufacturing kind of initiatives coming up, and the school and the skill development, apprenticeship, all can be linked. So they can learn and serve as apprentices, even maybe earn from part-time jobs. All of this will help from their basic economics as well. So this is the holistic plan where you have education, and then we have also a healthcare clinic we have launched in Tenkasi. And then the software company already is there, which is getting strong now, close to 1,000 people now soon working from Tenkasi. And now we are spreading it to other regions. Near Tirunelveli, we have started an effort. It does not yet have maybe only about 50, 60 people now. In Tanjavur district, in my native village, we have started, which is about 30 people now there. Near Palladam area, in a former textile mill is being converted to a software center now. That also is just now getting started. Maybe a couple of hundred people will work from there in the next 3 months. So we are starting these efforts. And so in Tamil Nadu alone, maybe about 4 or 5 such hubs will come up, all rural, and with similar same kind of ideas what we are doing in Tenkasi. This is the goal. And I hope that by doing all this, we can demonstrate that we can do leading edge work, that is world-class skills we can create, world-class work, world-class products we can create for the global markets. This helps balance the regional economy. Because see, you can think of a software job as a kind of an export from the rural area. Export, you draw a boundary around it. We are exporting the software from the rural area. And we get high income we earn. That high income circulates through the local economy. And we did a socio-economic survey around Tenkasi. We found that the average incomes for non-software, whether it's auto drivers, whether it cooks, they've had a substantial increase in the last 5-6 years after we came. In fact, anybody around the Tenkasi area, they'll tell you that after Zoho arrived, the incomes went up quite a bit. Because this is the effect of the incomes that we pump into the economy are spreading out regionally. If the same job were in Chennai, that income would be spent in maybe a shopping mall or an apartment in Chennai. But now that is going into shopping in Tenkasi, and it's going into building a house in Tenkasi, so creating local construction job, all of that. So that's the difference. And so the rural labor would have had to migrate to Chennai to have those jobs. Now they can stay at home, and that income goes further. The same pay earned in Tenkasi goes further because the cost of living, the land price is lower. The land price directly influences the cost of living. If they move to Chennai, they will pay much higher rent. That alone takes up a lot of their income. So there is a meaningful upgrade in quality of life when these high-paying, technology capability jobs move to rural areas. And my calculation, this is, you're a school of management, I can tell you this, as little as maybe 3 or 4% of the jobs being these kinds of jobs can make a huge difference to our rural economy. In other words, we don't need 30% of the people in these jobs. 2-3% is actually enough to boost income substantially. So if that means that if you have, say, 10,000 people in a rural area, and maybe 200-300 jobs like this could make a big difference. So that's the last thought, and these are the ideas that I am trying to create in 4 or 5 areas. Also from an employer perspective, there is a lot of advantages. You first thing is people are very passionate. Once you demonstrate, you show a pathway, people are very passionate and they are committed. So you get a lot more. The passion is what produces results. This goes to the question Mr. Ranganath asked about, how to make professionals into entrepreneurs, all that. Ultimately, the word is passion. In fact, I often say, I don't like the word professional, because professional is a word that connotes a bundle of skills minus the human personality, passion, all of that. A professional is kind of a soulless, passionless, bundle of skills. That's the way it connotes. In other words, they do a professional job, but they don't put their heart and soul into it in a way, right? But the key to achieving extraordinary results, you have to have your heart and soul in it. And this is much more available when you are investing in a person, you have created a future for that person, then they tend to put their heart and soul into it. It reflects in the quality of the output longer term. So in contrast to what you might think, we don't have enough skills to do high quality work. Longer term in rural areas, you're going to get higher quality work because of the passion, soul in it. And this is something, famously, someone like Steve Jobs explained it very well. And that's how you have to put your passion into the product. Your the product is an extension of your core self, who you are as a person. Those ideas come to the fore when you do these, because people realize that this company, these jobs are essential to not only their families, all that, but the whole region. So they tend to put their heart and soul into the work, and that is what creates great products. That is what ultimately created a company like us. I did not create it. It is the passion, dedication, commitment of so many of our people. That's what created it. That came from all this holistic thought process that we have developed over the years. So that's about all that I have to say on this topic. It's how all of this is linked. And the spirituality part, ultimately, if we are not contented and we don't have contentment, we are going to destroy the earth. All the rural jobs, all of this is good, but we create endless shopping malls, endless ego-driven consumption, all of that. We want to consume. Then the earth cannot stand it now. And I actually, one of the reasons I adopted my lifestyle, I did a comparison between my grandmother in the village, her lifestyle originally, and my own. And I realized that I'm consuming about 1,000 times the energy she was consuming. 1,000 times. Serious, because she never had a car, nothing, right? Once you go in a car, already you boost the energy consumption. Then if you switch on the AC, you boost energy consumption. So these days, that's why part of the reason I drive around an electric auto, which is still energy consuming compared to her, but at least it's more, the 1,000 times I'm reducing it to maybe 10 times, 20 times now. But that is the problem. We cannot consume as much energy as we are doing today. So adopting a simpler lifestyle is good for ourselves and the earth. I'm healthier as a result. And it also is good for the earth. And again, this is possible in a rural area because your distances are smaller. You're mostly, if you want to do this around the local regions, all of this is possible. So that is why, again, the rural revival is important also to save our earth. I strongly believe. So with this, I want to thank you all for coming. And again, my humble pranams to Shri Manikam Ramaswami. I really wish I had known him. And I want to thank the organizers for inviting me. And again, I apologize for not being able to come in person. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If you have time, can you take some 2 to 3 questions, sir?
Yes,
Just 2 to 3 questions.
Yes.
The first question is from Pooja Chandrasekharan, second year PGDM.
Yeah.
Sir, she's placed in a technology company. How do you view the current economic turbulence and layoffs which is going in technology industry? Is the worst is over or worst is yet to come? People talk about the bubble as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, the technology industry got over bloated in the last few years due to excessive money. You saw venture capital pouring into India, and it also happened in the US. Billions of dollars were invested in questionable companies that never had a chance of making money. Right? That was not sustainable in that sense where they were losing money. Those were the companies creating a lot of the jobs. So unfortunately, I don't believe the worst is over. I think we are going to be in it for a while. And my own advice to young people is to find companies that are more sustainable, even they are humbler. And second, also you build up your own skills so that you can actually you can be more entrepreneurial. Create these in smaller towns. Group of friends. One person cannot do it. I did not do it myself. I had my brothers, my sister, my friend Tony Thomas, all of them involved in it. Similarly, band together as friends, you can actually do these things, small scale projects. And that is also another thing that I would suggest.
Thank you, sir. Well said. Mr. Guru Prakash of MBA is asking a question. He's actually congratulating you for achieving the $1 billion revenue. And people are talking about the $1 billion valuation. You achieved $1 billion revenues. So after achieving such a huge milestone, sir, what is next for you? So what is next for you? Do you think you are successful, or what is next for you?
Yeah, we are still. I like to say Microsoft companies like that are 200 billion. That is our competition. So we still have a long way to grow to put India truly on the map of technology. We are still only a 1 billion company, So that's the way I think about it. But also from another perspective, a lot of we are doing in one district. I want to be able to do it in 10 districts, maybe 20 districts. I also want to go north. I want to take this to some other states as well. Those are all hopes. I have hopes and dreams, but still have a lot of work to do.
One final question, sir, from Dr. Shivapragasham. What kind of skill sets, you talked about the skill sets, what kind of skill sets you should have for, for future managers, per se? Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually a small thing because School of Management, I prepared these. So you have to understand human psychology well. People who are working with you are human beings. That's the most important thing. What does it mean? Well, basic ideas like take care of the first basic needs. So in Zoho, everybody is well fed. We first focus on food. And it's our culture. Our Bharat culture is food, right? So we want our old traditions. In fact, the Nagaratar community created chatrams everywhere, feeding people. That is considered wealth. Part of wealth is you feed people. We have to go back to that. So this is what I say, if you're running a team, all that, be very generous with food. Create a food culture. Eat together. Everybody eats together in the team. There's no distinction. That is one important way to build team spirit. The second, give praise in public to your colleagues, but criticism in private. Never criticize people in public. It always you will create ego conflicts and clashes. So these are some of the tips I give to managers, and also learn constantly, soak up information. I'm still learning. When I find a new company or some new product, I try to learn what I can. So I'm still learning that way, and constantly be learning and learn by teaching, explaining things, because leadership is about teaching. So you are think of yourself as a teacher first, not as a manager, not as a supervisor, but as a teacher. So that's all I'll say.
Thank you very much, sir, for inspiring speech. I'm sure students would have motivated to join more. So this year, we have some students are placed in this Zoho as well. Thank you very much, sir. I invite Dr. Selvalakshmi to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Balaji. I feel privileged to propose this vote of thanks on behalf of this audience. Our profound gratitude are due to the esteemed chief guest of the day, SridharVembu, for gracing the occasion and providing an opportunity for the young learners at TSM to listen to one of the best lectures during their stint here. The sum and substance of the speech, as we have comprehended, is as such. He was able to help us understand the village ecosystem by identifying the diversified nature of such villages in terms of the occupation, the prevalence of the occupation, the tradesmen, the trades and the crafts there. He was also able to help us understand the simple, uncomplicated life structure at villages and with fewer ego traps and more time for being in solitude with nature and animals. He has guided us, or he has helped us to understand how to enhance the rural economy by constantly focusing on value creation or value addition. The value addition as proposed by him is in terms of identification and nurturing of talents. He has also placed a strong emphasis on learning by doing, and in term which can be given by learning by teaching, and which should also in a way promote the leadership. He also emphasized on giving simple value addition in technology value chain. He has helped us to understand the importance of targeting smaller markets with smaller team with focused efforts and then progressively expand to larger areas. And by doing all these things, he has helped us to understand that we can generate world-class products to the global market. And he is also impressed us with by living the words of Mudurai, Nallar Orvar Ulare, Avar Poruttu, Ellarkum Peyyum Malai. Like how Tenkasi has been really, benefiting and progressing based on the truly, spiritual instinct nature of the proposals and jobs being done there. We are greatly being motivated by your words, sir. So, motivated by your words, sir. And finally, he is also given the key to giving an extraordinary result is to put our heart and soul and the passionate involvement, which is very, very essential for giving us extraordinary result. Thank you once again, sir, for these kind words. We wish to thank Shri N.K. Ranganath, the Independent Director of L&T Valves, for sharing his pleasant memories about the immortal qualities and virtues of Shri Manikam Ramaswami. For those who have missed the fortune of living under the guidance and the energy of Shri Manikam Ramaswami, the reminiscences of Shri Ranganath served as a window to understand him. We wish to thank our chairman, director, and the eminent members of the board for initiating this MRML. The whole event has been envisioned and conceived by our correspondent, Madam Srimati Valli Ramaswamy, and our sincere thanks are to her. We wish to thank Mr. Satish Raman, who enabled us to connect with the inspirational speakers to us, speakers of the day. And we are very humbled and feel privileged to see our former chairman in the inspirational speakers. The event has been executed very well by our able faculty team and the IT team, which has been led by our program chairs, Dr. Balaji and Dr. Gautam Sutar, and my thanks to them. We wish to thank the members of the academia, many of the industrialists and executives from several corporates, including our own concerns, Loyal Textiles, faculty and staff of our sister concerns, including TCP, Tyagaraja Model School and MRCAS, for joining us for the occasion. The young friends of TSM may definitely carry the pleasant memories of the day forever. Thank you all once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you once again. Please, if you find time, please do visit our campus physically. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sridhar. Thank you. Thank you, NK.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.